Hello, my name is Ida Vos and I'm from the Netherlands. I go to the Grotius College at Delft. Most people in my community have a rather good understanding of human rights and can even name a few. However, this is mostly either because of political interest or because they learned them at school. The latter is especially true for my classmates, as we studied them quite excessively a few years ago. Human rights are not regarded as a matter that is directly relevant to us. When I asked people what group in the Netherlands human rights are breached, no one mentioned a group that included themselves. This by no means meant that the people I interviewed didn't think human rights were breached in this country. Most people were able to come up with one or several groups whose human rights were breached. The group mentioned the most often by far were refugees. There's a good amount of refugees currently residing in the Netherlands, especially compared to, for instance, the US. Don't get me wrong, we're nowhere near the levels of refugees in, say, Lebanon. But nevertheless, the refugee crisis is on everyone's mind. Now, when you start looking into what people think about human rights infringements of refugees nationally, something very interesting turns up. To me and all the people I interviewed, it was clear that any human rights infringements were a big problem that definitely needed dealing with. However, 10% of the Dutch population thinks refugees in the Netherlands should not have human rights. This really shocks me, as human rights are supposed to be for all humans. Surely being a refugee doesn't mean you're not human anymore, right? Another interesting thing that someone I interviewed mentioned was the thought that prostitutes' human rights were breached in the Netherlands. This is a very interesting point on account of how we are one of the very few countries that have legalized prostitution. Is this a good or a bad thing for human rights of prostitutes? There really are arguments both ways. Personally, I think with it being legal, prostitutes are more easily able to seek help if their human rights are compromised due to their job. Amnesty International agrees, saying that it promotes legalizing prostitution. To conclude, I'd say my community is quite well read on the subject of human rights, and often enough also has an opinion about it.